Well, a very productive weekend, I think, for the Cleveland Browns. They come out of the 2020 NFL Draft with 7 new players, made a couple trades, and added some assets for next year, Chad. I think this team got better.
I think it did. And I think the main thing that comes out of this is the way that the front office worked together. It was everybody's first chance to see how they would kind of come together and form their opinions about players. And they did that with new head coach Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, the GM, and Paul DePodesta. So mission accomplished. You're right on point there. They are much better.
And I think they had a theme through at least the first couple of days. The first 4 picks all coming from the SEC. So let's dive right into it with their first-round draft pick, Jedrick Wills, the future at left tackle from Alabama. What'd you think?
This kid is so athletic, and all the folks that we talked to, read about, and Dane Brugler, who we visited with a few weeks ago, he really loves this guy. This was his top-rated tackle. He's a tremendous basketball player in high school. He's got great athleticism, and he'll fit right into that zone blocking scheme that the Browns are going to run. It's a match made in heaven. They didn't think he'd be there at number 10. He was, and they love having him.
I like his interaction with the players, too. I think on social media he got to mix it up a little bit, talked a lot about his relationship with Joe Thomas, who he got to meet with or at least speak with prior to the draft and post-draft. Nothing wrong with learning from a future Hall of Famer. And today he announced he's wearing number 71, going to create his own legacy. So looking forward to that. In round number 2, the Browns traded back a few spots and ended up with another really good player that they hope can plug into that secondary in safety Grant Delpit from LSU.
Yeah, this is a guy that had a little bit of a down year, if you could call that, in a national championship type of a season, a down year. He battled injuries throughout the course of the season. This is a guy that was an All-American previously. He was named the top defensive back in the entire country. They really shored up a key position that they needed. They didn't do so much with it in free agency with the top-flight guy. They got that in Delpit, and he's a winner coming from LSU.
Yeah, he certainly got some swagger as well. Came right into that press conference and wasn't shy about saying this is going to be the best secondary in the league. He told those newspaper writers, you can print that in all caps. Moving on, they traded back again in the 3rd round, this time 14 spots, and in the process added a 3rd-round pick in next year's draft, so certainly productive from that standpoint, and then added a defensive tackle, another guy from the SEC from Mizzou in Jordan Elliott.
Yeah, I was looking at some video of him and what he does, the kind of a player he is. Boy, I'll tell you what, for a big guy, he is very, very quick, and he can move. He gets off the ball very, very fast, and he gets to the quarterback, and that's the thing that they want him to do, and hopefully he'll be able to do that.
And he's lost some weight, 30 pounds down, says he doesn't eat red meat or chicken anymore, so he's certainly versatile and light on his feet, and that's good for 6'4", 300 pounds. Moving on, also in round number 3 at pick number 97, they go back to LSU and pick up a linebacker in Jacob Phillips. What'd you think of Phillips?
I'll tell you what, I think this is an upgrade for a guy that a lot of people were upset left in free agency. They chose not to resign the linebacker from last year, Joe Schobert, who had led the team in tackles or been right up near that team lead. This guy has a nose for playing defense and for tackles. He led LSU in tackles with 113 last season. And again, when you look at the film of him and just some of his highlights, which I love to go do on YouTube and see what these guys have done, boy, he has a nose for getting to the ball and a hard hitter. A little bit undersized, but he can hit hard, and he plays very good linebacker.
Yeah, you're hoping. He wanted to go to a team that had an opportunity for him to play, and you're hoping he gets that opportunity because this is Duke Johnson. This is the guy they gave up with Houston in order to get this pick, so you're hoping he's productive. And I'll tell you one thing I really liked about his press conference. He talked about the fact that he's looking forward to tackling Joe Burrow, his former teammate at LSU. He said back in college he wasn't allowed to touch him. Now he's fair game. So that should be a lot of fun within the division. In round number 4, the Browns go back on offense and pick up a tight end. Maybe surprise some people, but I think when you see who they got with Harrison Bryant, it starts to explain maybe why they took a tight end.
This is somebody that they really liked. They said it was too good to be true that he was still there. They just couldn't pass him up. The top tight end in the entire country. So you notice a trend here. They're going for guys who were really recognized as some of the best at their respective positions. He's a little bit frail in terms of not real thick. And so that's something that they'll need to work on. Get him in one of those NFL training tables and feed him and get him in the weight room. He'll be just fine. But it's something Kevin Stefanski really likes is he loves those tight end. He talked about it after the draft was over. He said, we love to run certain formations with multiple tight ends. That's what we'll see. And of course, with Njoku, with Carlson, and of course, the big guy in free agency, Austin Hooper, that's going to create some fits for opposing defenses.
Yeah, Coach Stefanski did that in Minnesota last year, ran 3 tight ends quite often. So now he's got a big 6'5" target that should have a fire lit under him because he was considered one of the top tight ends in the draft this year. 5 other tight ends were taken in front of him. So hopefully that serves as motivation. Moving on to number 5, in round number 5, they go center with Nick Harris. What'd you think of the kid from Washington?
This is a guy that is versatile. He can do a number of things. They need some depth on the offensive line, so this helps that. He's seen as a center, but he can also play guard. They love the way he can move. He's got great quickness, another guy with great athleticism. They love the ability that he's going to be able to bring for that zone blocking. Again, everybody that they've drafted fits right into the scheme that they expect and hope to run. So this is another good pick, adding some depth up front for the Browns.
Yeah, and some flexibility. You mentioned the fact that he could play guard if need be down the road. Their last pick, what turned out to be their last pick, came in round number 6, and this was obviously a very deep draft for wide receivers. That's why you see a guy of this caliber fall all the way down to round number 6. At 187, they take Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan. What did you think of that pick?
I know a lot of people, especially fans in our area, were looking for KJ Hill to be picked up by the Browns. They love to get Ohio State players to play in Cleveland. But a lot of people don't like Michigan guys, obviously, from around here. But this guy is a talent. His numbers were not terrific at Michigan, especially last season. But you and I were talking about it earlier today, and that is the fact that where they just never had stability at the quarterback position at Michigan. It was always a different guy. It was so inconsistent and, quite frankly, not very good quarterback play at different points, especially when they played Ohio State. So this is a guy that a lot of the analysts say his best football is right in front of him, and it could come in the NFL, especially when he's got a surrounding cast like the Browns will have around him with Odell and Jarvis and Nick Chubb and Baker Mayfield playing quarterback. So I really like the pick. I think I'm very intrigued by what he's going to bring. Again, spread that field out, and hopefully he can certainly do the job.
Like I said, I think the Browns got better across the board, and I think the best thing that comes from this draft is the fact that next year, when this draft is in Cleveland, they've added some capital. They'll have 10 picks in 2021.